Let's get into Mike Babcock. Jesse, is the alarm off in your building? Are you okay?
I think so. It hasn't gone off in like the last 2 minutes, so they might be done the test.
I always love that when they come over the last week, like,
we're going to test the alarm. Half an hour. It's going to be half an hour. Get up.
That's literally what happened. I don't know if anybody heard the guy going up.
Is there any reason why they can't get an intercom system in 2021 to work? Like, why does it always have to be?
It's 2 a.m. Get up. Get the fuck up. Get out of bed. Get out. We're going to test the alarm now. Get the fuck up. Get up.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just install a good intercom. What's the problem? It's not like speakers are hard to come by.
You know, I just haven't had this problem.
I know,
in Oshawa. I just, it's funny. No, I was just discussing that yesterday while getting my haircut. Sorry. Go Durham region.
We're in the gray zone.
No, we're
not.
No,
we're not even in the gray zone.
No, we're not even in the gray zone. We are in lockdown, my friend.
We're in the lockdown zone.
For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, we have a weird color-coded system here. Green does mean go, but red is not even the worst. There's like blue and gray and then lockdown. So we're in lockdown and then we're just trying to get to gray so we can go out and buy something from a local shop. Anyway,
Bonnie,
a local shop. Yeah, a little mom and pop called Costco.
I'm hoping we get to the red zone because Bonnie, the mayor of Mississauga, is pleading for Peel to go to the red zone after lockdown. So
the Cromster. Yeah. All right. Bonnie Crombie is her name. Cromster Momster.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so let's get into Mike Babcock. So we had a request, and this is going to be a very different type of video that we go through. And we used to do this a lot, and then we lost the ability to do it with COVID, and now we found that we can do it again. We're going to go through the video of Chris Simpson, who we freaking love, by the way, who is the most positive person on the face of the earth, and Mike Babcock. Chris Simpson, by the way, incredible journalist, incredible reporter, beyond reproach. And I want to, for everybody that was criticizing Sportsnet yesterday for putting this feature on the air, it will be the most looked at thing on their website today.
Way to go, company man, Adam.
Just like with The Athletic, when Pierre LeBrun did his first initial interview with Mike Babcock, your job as the journalist is not to take a side or to put this person on trial. It is to let them present their opinion. Now, I've had after LeBrun and Chris Simpson, and he was randomly on the Rod Peterson show as well. I think I'm done with Mike. Yeah, he was.
Good for Rod.
I'm kind of done with Mike Babcock's opinion at this point about Mike Babcock. I don't think Mike Babcock's done with it, but he is doing interviews now. He is talking to the press, and in a word, I would say insufferable. Like, I cannot believe some of the things that he's saying. So, shall we start from the beginning of the interview, Jesse?
Well, and here, just real quick.
Please, yeah.
It's people are getting mad at this, and good. That means you're media literate, right?
Yes.
Like, I think there was a time where this guy would get on his pulpit and he would say, Mike Babcock's a great guy, actually. And people would go, oh, Mike Babcock says he's a great guy, so I believe him. And now with COVID, you've been at home for 11 months and you were raised on the internet and you're too smart for that. So congrats, you're media literate. You get it. Good for you.
It's a 5-minute clip. Do we want to play it all? Let me just hit play and see how.
Let's work our way through it. It's only 5 minutes.
See where we go. All right.
I'll throw up a hand signal or something. I like this. This is a really good interlude, whatever
Ready?
it's
called. We are good to go. When the Leafs let you go, November 2019, was it shocking to you or did you see it coming?
No, it wasn't shocking to me. I knew when Lou left, I was getting fired. The bottom line is I really believe it's important that every general manager and every coach have their manager and their coach, their guy. And that wasn't me. And I have no problem with that whatsoever.
I have to ask you, though,
we gotta stop.
About some things.
All right. First things first, guys. It was I measured it. It's a year and a half from when Lou left to when Mike Babcock was fired. A year and a half.
He got a full season.
Season and a half, and really the first 20 games, I guess.
Yeah, he wouldn't Kyle Dubas can't fire Babcock.
No.
You think he gets the blessing from the board?
Well, no,
because who after are paying Babcock to be the richest coach in hockey. You think he gets the blessing if they're like second in the division? They sucked. They were bad. They were a bad hockey team. And that's why he got fired.
And they were playing a style that the management group was saying, please do not play this way. Please use these players in a different way. And he refused to do it.
Well, Adam, do you have a boss?
Yes.
Oh, you have a boss?
Yes, her name's Karen.
Her name's Karen? And how often do you tell Karen to eat shit?
Never.
Oh, weird.
I disagree. He says it daily.
No, Karen's fucking awesome.
He wakes up in the morning and he says, I'm going to put on my Gary V turtleneck.
I'm going to make my bed and tell my boss to fuck off.
I'm going to go independent.
I'm just so surprised to hear Jesse say that you tell her to eat shit, because as is often the case, when you tell your employer to eat shit, whether it's with your words or actions, you get shit canned. So long, this guy. Hey, here's Justin Hall. Hey, go fuck yourself. All right, well, here. How about Jason Spezza? Hey, go fuck yourself with that, too. All right, well, here. Try Nick Potato. Go fuck yourself.
Hey, Mike, we're going to trade
here's
for
Jake
Nick Jensen.
Muzzin. Oh, okay, I'll use Jake, but he's not right-handed, so, go half fuck yourself. Like, this dude thought he was the general manager, and I think he was upset about it.
Well, did you hear the Jack
for Kyle Dubas?
Did you hear the Jack Hahn story?
No.
So the Leafs were going to trade for. This is a Jack Hahn story.
Jack Hahn,
he said,
used to work for the Toronto Marlies.
That's right.
Yeah. Who is Jack Hahn?
Tell him.
I forget his exact title. I'll look him up on Twitter real quick. But he used to work for the Toronto Marlies. He's doing a lot of media work now. And he's a very good follow. Former AHL and NHL Toronto. I tweet about hockey, tactics, and player development.
And how do you follow him? What's his account?
JHAN, so Johan HKY.
Okay.
Basically, Johan Hockey.
So Jack Hahn relayed a story that the Leafs were about to acquire Nick Jensen. And this would have been a puck-moving defenseman at the time, which they really needed, which would have been, I think, 2018 or 2019.
He was.
It was 28. It was the 2019, early 2019, when they went out and acquired Jake Muzzin. Mm-hmm. And what they wanted was a mobile, puck-moving third pair with Travis Dermott. Travis on the left, Jensen on the right. According to Jack Hahn, Mike Babcock told Kyle Dubas, okay, you can go acquire Nick Jensen, but I'll be sitting Travis Dermott. But we want Mike a puck moving. Nope, I'll be sitting Nick Jensen, or I'll be sitting Travis Dermott. I mean, so this is like
I know people don't know it's the coach's job to set the lineup. No, it's the coach's job to. How about in most other universes in the real world, if your boss tells you to do something, you fucking do it. Unless you're breaking the law. I've been watching a lot of Suits. But, like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll get this guy, but I'm going to sit Dermott. Well, no, I'm acquiring this player to play with Travis Dermott. No. How do you not want to fire that guy?
And also, who else would you... I was trying to figure out what the Leafs defense at the time looked like. Who was on the team?
When was this?
This was Gardner, Muzzin, Riley. Gardner had like just a terrible back injury at that point.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think was that Hainsey's last season? So he would have been playing up with Riley.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Polak and Dermott, or was that Polak's first year gone? Like, who was playing on the third line?
I think it was Polak.
Ozhiganov? Like, who else was there?
Oh, Jesus.
What could he have played?
Was that the year where, like, Babcock kicking and screaming? Oh, you know what? Maybe it wasn't Polak and it was Ozhiganov.
What year do you guys want the lineup from?
18-19. I'm looking at it right now.
Was that the year kicking and screaming? He had the Ozhiganov Hall.
So he had Dermott, Gardner, Hainsey, Hall. So Hall did barely played. Marincin, Muzzin, Ozhiganov, Riley, Rosen, Zaitsev. So Zaitsev would have been playing.
Zaitsev. And I think he was hurt too.
Hey.
But none of that matters. Here, I'm telling you, this is what you should do. No. So I knew I was getting fired Like
when I got myself fired.
Do you see how he very subtly puts the onus on Dubas? Like, okay, Keefe is Dubas's guy. We all knew that. But like I said, he cannot fire Babcock if the team's doing well. What team in first place does that? No one. It's happened like a small handful of times, and every time it happens, we're like, what? And it's the Panthers, and we talk about it for several years. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Babcock undercut Dubas at every turn he could. And you know, when we had Sean Fitzgerald on, we talked about how he is unwavering, and you know, there is something.
Has his own accent.
Yeah, has his own accent, which is wild. And you have to go back and listen to that episode. But where I was going with that, listen, there is something to believing in yourself. There is something to being headstrong. But when you don't listen to anybody else, you're an asshole. And assholes get fired. This isn't a shock. I can't believe we're only a minute in. Keep going. Keep going, because we're never going to be able to do this.
We want to get back to it?
No, let's get back to it.
Let's do it.
All right, we are 43 seconds in.
All right.
Like half of that was
Steve,
music.
I think you should let him play the clip.
Okay. Okay. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Things that came out after you left the Leafs. I want to give you a chance to clear the air. Just some of the tactics that
I look
you
forward to
used.
this, by the way.
So we heard about the Mitch Marner incident. Can you explain what happened there?
Yeah, that's not, what happened. I was in a tree stand and hunting on my farm in Ohio, and I get this thing, and I said, yeah, I apologize for that. But I didn't know the story wasn't right. Mitch was in a time that it wasn't going quite as good. He was in my office, and I said, rank yourself on the work ethic list. And he did. And there was nothing wrong with our conversation. And Mitch Marner played great for Mike Babcock. I can't complain one bit. It was unbelievable. So then what happened, though, is I brought in, and I think it was Bosey. And
it was Bozak,
but
Mike.
I left the Mitch Marner thing on the table. And then I referred to it. And as soon as I did it, I knew I had done the wrong thing. I walked out after talking to Bosey, and I said to Mitch, this is what I've done. I've screwed you. It was no intent on my part. You want me to deal with it in front of the team right now? And I shouldn't have asked him that. I should have just done it. Was it wrong? Yes. Was it my fault? 100%. Do I own that? Yeah. But if you think it's a tactic to haze a guy or something, that's the craziest thing ever. We try to make these players the best we could. Our intention is always good. Do we do things wrong sometimes? 100%.
I have to ask you, you have to go a little.
Okay. So here we go again. So she asked him about it directly. So the fact that he's talking about it is, she asked him a question. And people had it wrong. So I've heard that story enough times. We didn't have it. No, we didn't. We didn't have it wrong. The only thing, and it is an important distinction, is from what we heard the first time to now, is Babcock, according to Babcock, offered to rectify it. Right? I don't think he's a liar. I will say that. I think he's insufferable. I don't think he's a liar. So we offered to rectify it. But, can you undo that? The problem was that Marner was now under this pressure with the veterans of the team. Right? This was always the problem. The other thing this ignores, it ignores two very important things. You guys remember the epic show that we had with CJ after the Leafs lost to Boston in 2019?
Yeah.
Who wanted Babcock fired right then and there?
Steve.
Me. Why? Because he was a mean guy who made Mitch Marner write a list? No, none of us knew anything about that. It was because he was not the right coach for that team. Babcock wasn't fired because of the stupid list. He wasn't. He wasn't fired because of the stupid list. The other thing is the Mitch Marner list thing strikes me as I think it's been identified as a soft target because not everyone's on board with it. Not everyone is on board with the idea that it is bad even. I'm not saying it's us. I'm just saying a lot of people, it's not that bad what he did. Johan Franzen. Go look up Chris Chelios talking about what that friggin' guy did to Johan Franzen. Better yet, look up what Johan Franzen said Mike Babcock did to Johan Franzen. The Medano thing, tip of the iceberg. And I've heard so many stories Steve, tell him I can't do that to the people who told me. Mm-hmm. But I've heard so many stories. It's not just that. And it's not even that they're the worst thing in the world. It's that it's the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, we've been hearing stories for a while. So
you ever stub your toe once? You ever stub your toe 50 times consecutively? You know what I mean? Yeah. One toe stub in a nutshell is fine.
Let's keep going, Jess.
Further back your time in Detroit, because again, then things come out, right? And Johan Franzen. So he was quoted in a Swedish newspaper saying, Mike Babcock, great coach, a terrible person, a bully.
Yeah.
When you think back to some of the tactics you used with him, do you think you went too far?
I thought we had a really good relationship. Now, did things not go as good at times? Absolutely. Did I ever, in my mind, try to bully anybody? That is the craziest thing I ever heard of. Now, I also, though, didn't even know what mental health was. So anytime someone, whether they work for you, whether you're in a relationship with, feels that, you're wrong. You never want to cross the line. And when you do, you want to own it. And if you do, you should own it. But if you didn't, you shouldn't own that either.
Did you reach out to Franzen then after hearing? Okay. So you've apologized.
No, I reached out to him. He didn't get back to me. In saying that,
why.
I've coached 34 years. Let's go 20 guys. Let's do the math. Lots of players. I've coached Olympic teams. I've changed goalies. I've coached veteran teams in the Stanley Cup final and scratch guys. You've made people mad. That's reality. You know, I've coached a lot of teams and had a lot of success, and good people have hired me. I didn't have a Zoom meeting with Brian Murray before I went to Anaheim. I went to Detroit. Jimmy Nill was my GM at the 04 World Championship. They hired me. Steve Yzerman played for me and worked with me 4 years, and he hired me for 2 Olympics. Brendan Shannon hired me after he played for me. Some of this, the smell test doesn't add up.
So you dispute some of the things that have come out about
It's a non-answer. He didn't answer her question.
Yes, but I also...
Did you go too far? That was the question.
You know how you guys get edit this stuff. I've tried my very best to treat people right. I still do. You can't have the family I have and the opportunities I've had without treating people good. Have I crossed the line ever? Absolutely. In saying that, when you get into mental health, that's a way.
You crossed the line with Johan.
No one ever should be in that situation. So when you cross the line, you have to own that.
When you think back at your time in Toronto, how do you look at?
All right, so he did sort of. He said he went too far with Franzen, but he said the excuse was, and it is an excuse. Let's not sugarcoat it. And it's not unfair because we've all been guilty of this as well. The conversation about mental health was much different back then than it is now.
Oh yeah.
Fair?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's definitely fair to say.
So I can if I am listening to this as trying to be as objective as possible. First off, I cannot stand when people talk about themselves in the third person. I can't.
Oh my God, when he says Babcock,
Marner played great from Mike Babcock.
Oh.
I mean, he's not the only person I've ever heard do it, but it's it's the ultimate sign to me of ego. It is. I'm sorry. It's just annoying. It's a pet peeve of mine.
Far enough back into my head, you know?
Yeah. So I'm trying to be fair to him on that. And he said, so when you do that, you own it or whatever. And he says he reached out to Franzen and he said Franzen didn't reach out back. And, you know, but he also said, yeah, I've been a coach for years and people are going to be mad at me. And yes, so all of those things are true. I think the real issue here is he has a problem with people saying, well, maybe he's just not the best guy. And the one thing that, and maybe there's a big secret cabal of hockey players that you know, I don't hear this said about every coach.
Bad guy. I
don't hear this said about every coach. And here's the thing too, like, and I hate to put it in these terms, but it's easy to be a bad boss and a good person to your family. Both are possible. Yeah. So it's so listen, and I think if you look at the way that Steve Yzerman and Brendan Shanahan would have been treated under Mike Babcock, you can understand why maybe, yeah, they were stars. They were the best players on that team in Detroit. They were amazing, amazing hockey players. Bab's pretty good to the Stars, except for the fact that he, limited Henrik Zetterberg's time and Austin Matthews' time and all that sort of thing. I think, and even Henrik Zetterberg didn't have great things to say about him when he left. He said, I think it was probably time. Do you remember that intervw?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And people have, I didn't like Ken Hitchcock, or I didn't like, Mike Keenan. They never said this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And also Shanahan's time in Detroit ended after the 2005-2006 season. So all this Franzen stuff, he would have no idea.
Right.
He did play for him for quite a long time, but he wouldn't have known about any of
that. So anyway, I just feel like, that is the equation with family versus how you are at work. I've had horrendous bosses. I've had great bosses. One thing that's ubiquitous is that normally they're good to their families, or at least in their own way, good to their families. I'm not saying that Mike is a bad father. No one suggested that.
No.
And no one has suggested that he is an evil guy. But the tactics he used were so aggressive sometimes. Like, remember when Mark Fraser came out and tweeted about him when he was fired? And I remember going on the show and being like,
he did?
Mark Fraser, you played for him for like 3 seconds. Like, what are you talking about? It was like a preseason game or something. What's Mark? Why is there? And I said at the time, why is there this pile on Mike Babcock? And then the Marner story comes out, and then the front and all the other stories start coming out.
Well, it was weird.
Yeah, it was weird at the time because we didn't know. But I think it's unfair of Mike to say, I wouldn't get these great opportunities if I wasn't a good guy. There are plenty of shitty people who get amazing opportunities. Incredible. Donald Trump was the fucking president, man. Like, that's a pretty good opportunity for one of the world's shittiest human beings. It's crazy. So I don't, and then don't tell me that because you're good to your family, that you were good to your players.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows. Everybody knows. And after 30 years of coaching, Mike, you screwed Mitch. So if that story is what you say it is, then you should not have gone up to Mitch Marner and said, I screwed you. Should I address this? You just address it.
So
Adam,
Mike Babcock. He said that, though. He said,
but he didn't address it. He said, I should have, but I didn't. If you're so good.
He says in there that he did the wrong thing by not talking to Mitch,
and that's fair. He goes out, he talks to Mitch. He said, should I address this in front of the team? Yeah. Mitch apparently was in tears, by the way, about this. Yeah. And so there is something about this story that doesn't add up. And I'm sure Mitch Marner would like nothing more than for this story to go away forever and ever. Amen. Mm-hmm. But there's something about that story that does not add up. And by the way, if you're the highest paid coach in hockey in the world, which is Mike is, then you need to know in that. I'm hoping that by paying you $5.5 million or whatever they paid him, that in that situation that you don't go up to the 18-year-old to say, hey, what do you think I should do? You just fucking do it, Mike.
Here, so this is from Mark Fraser, who was just hired by the Leafs, by the way. Anyone who thinks Commie 22, so that's Mike Commodore, anyone who thinks Mike Commodore needs to lay off Babs just doesn't understand how much hate players have for him. It's beyond scratching Commodore or saying he was out of shape. NHL players are a very, very small population of athletes and people. We share stories throughout the years with each other. And for those outside the locker rooms, you will never truly understand some of the terrible, undeserving things Babcock has done to some of his players. You don't have to like all your coaches, but he is one who 95% of his players can't say a good thing about. With the ability to end players' careers, he's chosen to do so long-serving vets, nearly Spezza, that resulted in all... Nearly Spezza was almost me. That resulted in all his players turning against him. He's used his power to turn teammates against each other and choose continuously to lie to his players. Mark Fraser is still going, by the way. Commodore may have strong public opinions on Babs, but in our fraternity of NHL and former NHL players, he's speaking for the masses. He's speaking for countless players who have personally told me their terrible stories of Babs just being a bad guy. He's speaking for all the Maple Leafs who wouldn't dare speak the truth right now, but damn sure want to. Commodore has so many players respect. If only the outsiders in the hockey world know the truth. Thank you for jogging that memory.
What date was that published?
That was November 23rd, 2019. So I want to say that was like the day or a couple days after. Or it might have been the day the Marner story broke. I'm not totally sure.
It was before the Marner story. Yeah, I know it was. Because at the time, we're like, well, wait a second. We never heard any of this shit before.
Yeah.
Well, I loosely remember talking about this because we did, I don't know about defend Babcock, but I wanted him to be gone. But we did sort of say pump the brakes because at the time, like you said, Mark Fraser would have played like no games for Babcock, so it didn't make any sense. And Commodore was like tweeting pictures of like Babcock literally packing his things and moving, which I don't care how much you hate the guy. That's friggin' weird. So that's where we were coming from at the time. But like, those are strong words. And I already told you, like in the former NHL players and the NHL players that I talked to, there's something about the term bad guy. It's the worst thing you can call someone in NHL circles. And and Jeff O'Neill will scream it into a microphone.
I tweeted about at the time, I was like, man, you know what? He did, as much as I wanted him gone too, I did tweet at the time, he did change things around here. And he did. Lou and him did change things. There were some huge changes. But that doesn't mean that there were all correct decisions. And I, at the time, did not know the extent of it. So anyway, we'll continue. Jesse, sorry about that.
1 second. There we go.
At your time here.
Well, it was spectacular. I met really good people. We went from making sure we finished last to get Austin Matthews. We built a program that was competitive. We set the record for regular season points. We never got it done at playoff time. When I look at the team and I look at the players, they've really developed and got better. You know, it took Michael Jordan 7 years to win a championship. I'm proud of these guys, and I'm proud of the players they've become, and they just continue to get better, and obviously it shows right now.
And that's it. And so the last tidbit, the last bomb to throw is we tried to finish last.
Right. That definitely seemed like that's exactly the sort of thing that could get the team in trouble.
That's the shot at Brendan Shanahan, by the way. That's not at Dubas.
Oh, you think?
Oh, 100%. Dubas got his shot at the beginning. That parting shot was for Shanny.
Interesting. And look, it friggin' worked. And like, as for the development, like for a player like Austin Matthews, for a player like Mitch Marner, for a player like William Nylander, you would have had to screw up to not develop them. And what about a Justin Hall?
Mm-hmm.
Justin Hall is almost entirely a Sheldon Keefe, Kyle Dubas success project.